The Gaza Freedom Flotilla announced on May 30th that they were going to set sail for Gaza in their second attempt to break the blockade. And there are some pretty famous activists on board this ship. For one, Greta Thunberg, who is a climate activist, and Liam Cunningham, who plays Davos on Game of Thrones. I was wondering how Saturn and Neptune in Aries would manifest, especially since Saturn just ingressed into the sign of Aries on May 24th. And these ingresses are very loud, especially when they ingress into a cardinal sign like Aries. When it comes to breaking a siege, you want a fallen Saturn because Saturn is about commitment and responsibility. But when it's in the sign of Aries, this is direct actions. One of the activists on board named Tan asked the question in their video, what will it take before we just do? And Saturn in the sign of Aries the answer is now. We have to take immediate action now. The symbolism of the Freedom Flotilla sailing from Catania, Italy to Gaza is so Neptunian. Neptune is the god of the sea and also symbolizes compassion and empathy. Almost 15 years ago, on May 31st, 2010, there was another Gaza Freedom Flotilla that was struck by an Israeli airstrike in the Mediterranean Sea. Unfortunately, 10 people were killed. A couple of things I want to point out in this chart that is replicated in other Gaza Freedom Flotilla charts is the Mars in Leo at 26 degrees, which is not real's Mars return. But this placement is breaking of the siege. Mars is the planet of war, obviously, but it also breaks through things. The sun is at 9 degrees of Gemini. There was a Capricorn moon, but take a look at that Uranus. Uranus just ingressed into the sign of Aries. Coming back to this timeline, remember May 2nd, 2025, when the Gaza Freedom Flotilla first tried to set sail to Gaza and the Israeli drone struck this flotilla in the waters of Malta? Take a look at that Mars. This was the same day Mars went out of its retrograde shadow at 6 degrees. The moon was in Cancer, which from the May 31st, 2010 chart, the moon was in Capricorn, so it was the opposite sister sign. And take a look at Venus. Venus just ingressed into the sign of Aries, co-present with Neptune. On May 30th, 2025, the Gaza Freedom Flotilla announced that they will try a second time to sail to Gaza. And look at where the sun is. It's 9 degrees of Gemini. This is exactly the same point from the May 31st chart in 2010 when the Israeli airstrike bombed that flotilla. This is also the same day of the Mercury Cazimi conjunct the fixed star Aldebaran, and Is Not Real has their Mercury at 10 degrees of Gemini. So this is also their Mercury return. Mars is still in Leo, but again, this is rhyming with the May 31st, 2010 chart. And similar to the May 2nd chart of this year, the moon is in Cancer. Last but not least, look at where Saturn is. Saturn just ingressed into the sign of Aries at 0 degrees, conjoined to Neptune in Aries. Now, I don't want to get anybody's hopes up because I don't know how long it takes to sail from Italy to Gaza. But on June 6th, Venus is entering the sign of Taurus in its domicile. And this, I can see a transit where the people get the aid, the food, the humanitarian aid that they need. And on June 9th, Jupiter enters the sign of Cancer where it's in its exaltation. This can also be bringing protection and aid to people in need. This is the first time in a long time that we will have 2 planets in the sky that are well resourced. Now, the only caveat I see is that mid-month, Jupiter in Cancer will start to form a square to Saturn and Neptune in Aries. This could be a challenge in some way, But hopefully we'll just have to pray that this challenge is not on the side of the people bringing humanitarian aid, but more on the occupation forces.